Hi guys, welcome to channel. Myself Sanket. I am working as a full stack developer for an IT company for a law firms. So I have won even multiple hackathons and I am a top lead coder amongst the world. So even you can connect me on LinkedIn for your doubts and one-to-one conversations. Even you can visit my lead code profile. I will add links in a bio. So today we are going to see the hash map. What is a hash map theoretically? How to implement them and what exactly the interviewer is accepting in a interviews. So let's start. Basically, let's see what is a hash map. It's mostly used data structure maybe in a problem solving in while facing an interviews, data structure problems, or in real practical life while implementing caches or other things related to storing a key and values. So basically, what is a hash map? A hash map is a data structure which stores a value in form of key and values. There is a key and a value associated with it. Uh, so when you know the key, you can get its value assigned to it easily. So here we have written the same thing that hash map is a data structure that stores a value in key and value pair. Think it like a real life dictionary where there is a word and its assigned meaning. Means in a dictionary we have a word and in front of that we have a meaning written in for it. So similar way the dictionary, the hash map works. Um so here we have one example that HashMap of student names and their grades. Suppose a RAM has a 50 marks stored in a HashMap. So we will use a RAM name and get a value 50 associated for it. So why we need a HashMap? So HashMap is basically used to get a value in big of one time complexity. Basically, suppose you want to search a value in a array and which is a not sorted, then you need to compare each your target with a target value, and that may go in a big of and time complexity as n is the size of an array. But in case of hash map, if you have a key stored with it, so you can get it directly. Okay. So let's move to properties of an hash map. Stores the data in key and value pair. Keys are always unique. So this is important. Hash map, each key in a hash map is a unique. As in array, for each index there is a value and each index is unique. Similar way here, hash map, the each key is unique. So if you try to insert a duplicate key, then the previous if you try to insert a new record, like if there is already exist a key RAM 50, RAM is a key and value is 50, but it already exists, then it will override the previous value. Suppose its value is now 60 and you inserted this in hash map. So the RAM where now we return as overwritten as a not 50, it will be written as a 60. So when you get a value for the RAM, it will return a 60, not 50, as the 50 will get overridden with the new value. Allows null key. HashMap allows only one time a null key. A null key cannot be inserted again. Means HashMap can store a null value but only once. Like each key is unique in a HashMap, so null is also considered as a key but only once. Hashmaps are unordered. Suppose you are iterating an hash map, so there is no guarantee that you will get a sorted order for an hash map. Provides a fast lookup, big of one time complexity. As you know, key it directly fetches, uses the hash function to compute the index. So this is important and core part of hash map. So basically now we will understand how the hash map works. Okay. So let's take an example. Suppose we have a RAM. We will apply an hash function over it. Suppose this is a hash function and it will generate some value. Suppose it generated a zero index. Okay. So this zero index is our hash map value. HashMap key, and we will now assign a zero value with the value we provided with it. Suppose it is 60. So we will assign zero index with 60. Now if we fetch a zeroth index, we will if we use a ram to get method, so ram will be again given to hash function, and if this key exists in our hash map, so it will get the value for 0, that is 60. So in this way the hash map works. So, but now we'll say that what if the keys are duplicated? Yes, there is a scenario. If a RAM has a value 0 and another sham has passed to an hash function, and it again generated the same uh, hash index, suppose 0. So what? The RAM will be overwritten? No. Here, this concept in a hash map is known as the hash collision, where two indexes have now come with a same when a two keys have the now the same indexes values for of an hash function. Now here we will use a collision resolution techniques, and most commonly used technique is uh, storing a list in front of each key. Suppose now our hash map look like this. This is our key 0, 1, 2, and so on. Okay guys. Yeah. Now, here was previously it was stored as an 60. Suppose we have new value for the sham as 70, or let's suppose it's 7. So we will now store 7 in front of the index in form of list. So sometimes the time complexity for the hash map may goes in big of n for get earlier, but you said that it was big of 1. Because of hash collision, it may go too big of and time complexity sometime. Hence, your hash function needs to be very good to generate always unique values. So it's very important that which hash function you choose. Now, there are some common methods for hash maps such as get, where we pass the value. Like for get, we pass the key value. Like if we pass RAM, it will return us with the value assigned to that key. Now the put method basically we it takes a two parameter key and the value. So key if there is a hash collision, it will be resolved and it will be updated. It is used to enter the data. Size method that will return a size. Contains key method which will check whether the given key is present in hash map or not, like if it will check a RAM will exist in it or not, like that way. So in basically interviews, these methods are mostly asked to implement. Most important core part is that how will implement this data structure, as it seems to be very complex that we need to store the key values and resolve the hash resolution techniques and this stuff. So let's make it simple. Uh, okay, that's the theoretical part we will need to understand. Now, if we goes to implementation, we have already implemented written a code for it. So now we will understand what we have written. So we have made a class, declared a class firstly with a generic type as key for a key k and v for value. So what is the generic types in Java? So basically generic types are used to define the types that will be provided at an runtime, because we don't know what will be the types provided for an hash map for the keys and values. So we have defined it as generic types. So it has two fields such as key k and v for value, and we just assigning to it using a constructor. So now we have initially declared the size for an hash map of 16. You may change it according to your, you may take the user inputs from a constructor or something like that. Okay. Here we have declared a constructor. Here you can take the user input from like size, and this size will be assigned here directly so that it is it will create a hash map of that size. So here for implementing hash map, we will use arrays basically, as the arrays are fast lookup ones. We have declared an array of entry class, which is this one with key and value. So, and we have assigned the array with the size provided. It may be dynamic through the constructor. So I have not made it dynamic now. You can change it accordingly. And we have assigned a size to it. Now, this is the important part, get index method. Here, get index method takes a type uh, key. It takes a parameter as an key. And we use a Java inbuilt method such hash code which returns integer value as an hash code. So why we need the convert the value to absolute? Basically, apps convert the it's just similar to the modulo operation in maths, which converts a negative values into a positive. As sometimes hash code may return a negative value as it return integers, so we have used the apps method to convert it in positive. So now what's the use of this modulo size? As the we have this fixed size hash map here, so we need to keep the index in inbound of the array size. So we have used the modulo size, which will always keep the that array in array index according to the size of the array which we required. Now we have a put method. So basically, what is a put method? This is used to add the into the hash map. So basically, we are taking here a key and value initially, and now we pass this key to in get index method. Now this method which will now return us a index of an hash map for this key. It will works as an hash code method as a hash function which we discussed first. Now we have index of an hash map. Now we will check that whether the index is not equal to null and the hashmap index dot key equals to key, then the value will already exist at that index. So basically currently we have not implemented a hash collision technique in this. We will later on implement. Let's first discuss a basic implementation. So here map index the not equals to null means map index is not equal to null, there is some value and we will check that for that value is it equals to key. If it's equal to key, then we will update the value with this value as it will be always equal to that only. We will overwrite it basically as duplicate keys are not allowed in hashmap, and we will immediately return a method from here only. As later on, if the value is empty, means the array index will be null. So we will give a entry, add an entry. We will pass the entry constructor with value and key so that it will create a new record at that index. Simple. Now we will have a get method. This will return a value at that for that key. Similarly, we will pass here key and get the index. Then for that index, we will check that if the index is not equal to null and value is equal to key for that key, then obviously it will have some value. We will return dot value here, and if it's not present at index means the index has no value, it's null, then obviously there is no value assigned to it. We will directly return null from here. And now we have a remove method which will use to remove the key from a hash map. So here we will use a get method, pass a key to it, get a index, and if it's not equal to null, we will directly assign a null to it, as basically it will be all, if it is null, we will consider it as an empty. And here we have basically written a display method where we are iterating upon that array we have declared and printing its key and value pair. It's for a display method we have written. So see how we are using our custom hash map. So we have made a basic implementation for an hash map here. This was accepted in interviews that you have basic knowledge of how you are going to design your own data structures. So here we have a simple hash map class, that is this one, and we have passed the string and integer. Means string will be our key type and integer will be our values. So we will always going to insert a key as a string, integer as a value. So here we have used a put methods and we have get the value for alias key and printed its value, removed the bob, and similar way print all entries in hashmap. So this was the basic implementation for an hashmap. Now we will look for how we are going to handle the hash collisions here. As this currently does not handle a hash collision because look here, if we have a value here, we are directly overwriting it. We are not storing in front of it because if the key is equal, it's correct. For key is equal, then we can overwrite it. But if key is not equal and still the hash map has not equal to null means there is a hash collision and we need to handle that scenario here. So let's see how we are going to handle this scenario here. So now let's see what we have added to this code. Now this code will handle a hash collision also. Now let's see what we have updated here. Here we have added a linked list of entry class which is of generic type key and v which is an array. So basically let's understand what I have done here. So basically let's remove here from this first. Let's understand. It is an array of linked list. Okay, that's simple. It's an array of linked list type. So each index will have a linked list. Each array index will have its own linked list. So the type of linked list is going to be our hashmap entry class type. So we are here initializing with the size. Similarly, array size will be same as size. And each size we are going to each index we are going to insert a linked list as each index is going to be have its own linked list. But why we need to do this? Because if we doesn't do this, initially it is going to be null. And if we are fetching, while inserting, we are going to fetch the linked list of that index and it will return a null. And operations on null will give us a exception, a null pointer exception. To prevent this, we are going to initialize it with a empty linked list. Each index with an empty linked list. So the get method is going to be same get index method as it is going to return a index, a hash code, hash index basically of our hash map. So here, now let's see what we are doing with the put method. Here we are getting index. Okay, that's the same as previous. Now next, bucket. So what is a bucket? So here we are getting a linked list associated with this index. So here bucket is a linked list at the index. Then we are going to iterate on this linked list. This is each type is of entry. Then we are going to check that entry key is equal to key we have passed to our method. So if it's equal, we have to just overwrite its value because hash map will not have hash map is going to overwrite the duplicate key value pairs. So here we will simply overwrite the value and return as here is no problem. Okay, but now If still we doesn't find the key, means if there is no key there, but we have the hash index. So we are simply going to insert a new record in that linked list. So now if hash collision occurs for the index 0, then we will have a value associated within a linked list. So that will be used to avoid hash collisions in HashMap. Now how will the get method will work? Here we are going to get index by our defined get index method, which will return an index of the hash map we have here for the given key. Now we are going to get a bucket for that map. The bucket is simply going to be the type of linked list, which is have a custom type entry, which is a generic for key and value. Now we are going to iterate upon that bucket and try to search for the key which you have passed is equal to key of that entry. If there is an entry, we will simply return a value. And after iterating all the linked list, if it doesn't get that, we will simply return a null. That's simple. Now remove method. Here only same thing we are going to do. Get the index, find the bucket, find the particular key and remove it from the bucket. That is the linked list. Display method. Similarly, we are going to iterate upon the each and every index of an array, get each bucket, iterate upon each bucket and print the values. That's simple. Now you are going to say that if you are iterating here upon a linked list, so how it is going to be the big of one time complexity. But scenario here is there is there is a need to iterate upon linked list if there is a hash collision. It's very rare that there is going to be an hash collision, and if there is, we have handled it. Still, it is going to be approx big of one time complexity only, and it is always going to be faster. So, this is the basic implementation for an hash map. So, I will attach the code in a description also. So, if you want to practice this, I think we have a problem on a lit code also. Hash map lit code. Okay, if you doesn't know about lit code is a platform where you can practice the data structure problem. So yes, there is a design a hash map problem. So you can try your understanding here by designing the data structure here. So I already solved this. So you can try here. I will attach the link for this also in description. And so guys, that's all about the video. Uh, Keep coding and let me know in comment section if you have any doubts. Basically, hash map is a very important data structure, guys. It's used in very algorithms, and almost every data structure problem you are going to face in interviews will be solved using a hash map. So try to learn it from basics, try implementing it, and let me know in comment section that if its video was useful for you. Thank you.